All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. We appreciate everyone driving, especially you guys. You're all from downstate, so the North does appreciate you coming up, and hopefully all the delegates online can see this. So just to go over a couple things, we've got Joe Cella here, and they can all introduce themselves. Meshawn Maddock, Jim Runestad, and Scott Greenlee. I'm going to be the moderator along with Jessica Dobbs. She's from Alcona County. I'm from Breaking It Down. And then we will go over, what else do we got here? So for the rules, we will have a 1-minute opening and a 1-minute closing. You get 3 rebuttals, each 15 seconds, and we're going to do our best to keep track. 30-second answers for each question. Am I missing anything? And then there will be pizza afterwards, and you can chit-chat with the delegates. Should have everything wrapped up by 11:30. So with that, we will give, we're going to go in order and just rotate. So we'll start with Joe, and we'll just keep rotating throughout the day. So Joe, you've got 1 minute to give your opening statement.
Great, thank you. I'd be remiss if I did not share with you my familial connection to this beautiful town. My mother was born here in Rogers City in 1938. The Rosati family immigrated from Italy, from quarries there to quarries here, and they worked in the calcite plant. They went to church at St. Ignatius, and they're all buried here. Spent my boyhood summers in Alpena. I am father of 7 children, married to my beautiful and beloved wife, Kristen, for 20 years. For my life's work, I've been in the arena, political front lines, precinct delegate first in 1988 until the early 2000s when I got married, and have always been a leader, a servant, a fighter, and a winner in all that I've done. I served as United States Ambassador in the first Trump administration. I was chosen by President Trump to serve in that capacity, and honored to serve in that capacity. And prior to that, he asked me to serve in his campaign to lead the Catholic outreach from the latter part of the campaign all the way to election night. I will make the Michigan Republican Party great again, and look forward to sharing with you some of those details in the rest of our conversation. Thank you.
Michelle.
My name is Meshawn Maddock, and I think the Michigan Republican Party is great already. I think I have 3 reasons why I set apart to run for state party chair at this time. First of all, I have extensive background with the party. I have served as a precinct delegate for over 20 years. I'm a current precinct delegate. I've been a district chair. I've been co-chair of the party. I've also been a grassroots leader with an organization, and I've served in President Trump's campaign in 2016, 2020, and this past campaign cycle in 2024. I also have extensive media presence. I've dealt with the hostile communists Dana Nussel and Gretchen Whitmer on a daily basis. I have a very huge social media platform. I won't need a comms department. I basically know how to handle the media myself. And last would be my personal relationship with Donald Trump. He calls me, I've called him, I've consulted with him over the years about things that have to do with Michigan. He trusts me, I know his team, and I look forward to serving as your next state party chair.
Jim.
Forgot to take my allergy pill earlier this morning, so hopefully I can get it over here. I just took it. I, unlike Meshawn, do not think the state party is doing a great job. For 20 years, the same consultant has controlled state party. The same guy gets all the contracts. Usually he pays the salaries of the people from a consulting fee that he also makes sure that he gets, and then directs all of the businesses to his company, overcharging massively. It's horrendous. We lost 4 very close races this last time because they were underfunded. One of my friends, Robert in Macomb County, was in a +7 Senate district, or +7 district for Trump. He lost. How did he lose? He's a great businessman. He's an elected official. He lost against a woman who barely won 2 years ago. He lost because he was outspent 30-1. 30-1, because so much money is drained out of state party. There is $7,000 hush money payments going out. This corruption has got to stop.
Scott?
Hey, thanks very much. I appreciate everybody coming out on a Saturday morning to listen to us and all of your involvement to better the Republican Party, and in doing so, the great state of Michigan. I'm Scott Greenlee. I've had the opportunity to be involved in Republican politics for about 40 years now. I was a junior in high school at Kentwood outside of Grand Rapids, and my classmates picked me to play Ronald Reagan in the school mock election. That was pretty fun. I studied the party platform, I studied Reagan, and I quickly recognized that these were foundational principles I wanted to live my life through, and I wanted to encourage everybody from a government standpoint to be involved in. So I started a college Republican club, I became a member of a precinct delegate, joined my local executive committee and was the youngest person on that committee at the time, and have then kind of been involved at every level of the way up to serving as vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party in 2009 and 10. If elected, I will serve the entire state of Michigan with transparency, honesty, and a high level of communication, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with the first question. Meshawn, we'll start with you. So Joe started with the introductions. How do you feel the MIGOP should maintain its brand?
I think there's a lot of hostile and negativity coming out of some of the campaigns for this chairman race. Anger. We just won everything, and I was excited to be a part of it, and I think that the way we keep this brand is by winning. And I intend to win everything back in 2026. We have a really important race. I've met with all of the candidates that right now are considering running for governor. I talk to them daily, 3 of them yesterday. I've talked to a couple of the candidates that are considering running for the U.S. Senate seat. And I think by continuing what we did in 2024 is how we keep our brand.
Again, there's massive problems at state party. For us, we did well because of Donald Trump. We didn't do well because the state party was leading the way. We lost 4 very close races, 2 of them by less than 700 votes. Had we had money effectively utilized, state party would have helped win those races. The one thing I am committed to is no more hush money, friends and family payments going out of state party. There will be complete transparency. Each and every one of you is going to know who's getting paid and what they're doing. I haven't ever seen that in the state party yet. Thank you.
So our brand, to answer the question, is conservatism, and it's an America First brand, and it's producing results that everybody can understand and see and benefit from, whether that's lower gas prices, whether it's less government employees, whether it's getting rid of ridiculous things like DEI at every level of government. And of course, the president's setting a fine example of doing that, but we need to do that at our local communities with our county commissions at the state of Michigan. That's our brand, and it's policy, reaching into parts of the state of Michigan that have traditionally voted Republican that will lead us to more and even greater victories in 26.
It's imperative we use the beautiful fulcrum that President Trump gave us in his resounding win in the 2024 election. The Republican Party is at a premium brand. It has to be handled with care, particularly by the next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. And we stand on the cusp of a very important midterm in our state. For the first time in our history, we have had, this will be where the U.S. Senate seat and the governor's seat have been open at the same time. Obviously, there are 2 other statewide. The State House and the State Senate are open again and present a great opportunity to just build on that model that President Trump established.
All right, Jim, you get this one first. How much do you think the MIGOP should fundraise leading into the 2026 elections?
There's a lot of misconception about how things work in the state party. The first thing you have to deal with is what is the debt. The debt is likely to be, from what I'm hearing, around $400,000. So you have to have the capacity to raise the money. I was able to raise the $15,000 the next day. About 2 months ago, a state party said you have to raise $15,000. I did it the next day. I was one of the top fundraisers in office my entire time in the legislature, not in Lansing where the corruption is, but meeting people one-on-one in my district. So you got to keep the doors open for the first year and a half, and then what's called pass-through dollars come through, and you could use those pass-through dollars administratively to cover some costs. So there's going to be huge costs that we have to deal with. You got to raise the money.
To answer the question directly, it's about a $10 million raise that will be needed to do in the state of Michigan, in addition to the pass-through dollars that the senator just referenced. Those will come in from the RNC, from the Trump team, from the National Republican Senate Committee and congressional committees, and those need to be managed appropriately when they come in. Other than that, though, to the operations of the state party to help the county parties, to pass some of that money along to the local level and make sure the delegates have an opportunity to thrive in their particular communities, we need to do about $10 million on top of the pass-through.
By my nature, I'm a bridge builder and not a bridge burner. I've made contacts with past donors who have shelved their checkbooks heretofore because they haven't had confidence in the party. They have confidence in my leadership, where I would take the party. I'm talking to their heirs. I'm talking about Henrys, who are high earners, not rich yet, who are willing to step up and lead and raise money. I'm happy to say 2 days ago I received the endorsement of Speaker Newt Gingrich because he believes in me, he believes in my leadership, he believes in my ability to raise money, and we're talking easily 10 to 15 million at the low end to raise for the Michigan Republican Party in 2026.
I am unique in that I sat with Chairman Weiser as his co-chair, and the only thing that he was very generous with me about teaching me was fundraising. He took me to donor meetings. I watched how he did it. He was a master. I also watched how the party at that time did their small donor outreach, which is imperative. The one thing I loved seeing coming into the office every day were checks from people that work very hard, that sent in their money regularly to the party, and being good stewards of that money is very important. So I know how to implement that on day one.
Scott, we'll be starting with you.
Sounds good.
What do you feel is the precise role of the MIGOP chair?
The role of the MIGOP chair is chief executive officer of the organization. It's not somebody who puts their thumb on the scale of any decision, but instead it's a leader who understands that the grassroots, the precinct delegates, the state committee need to be enabled and empowered to really make a difference at the local level. It's also somebody who has to deal with the media and who has to have direct responsibility for all aspects of the fundraising, which includes raising the dollars, spending them compliantly, and making sure we're transparent.
The role of the next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party is to be operate it like a business, to be a faithful steward of the dollars, to be accountable to the board of directors, the state committee, but not lose sight of the grassroots, where it all starts. Be a fundraiser, a communicator, and really a inspirational leader with intentional leadership to those that need it at a time when people are looking for direction, they're looking for education, they're looking for information, whether it's the grassroots delegates, candidates, or their campaign managers. We stand on the cusp of great opportunity, one of the most consequential elections in our lifetime, and I have the ability to do that. Thank you.
I feel like the best answer is that it's two-part. One is the face of the party. Media is very important. I think that our messaging could be a lot bolder. I don't love the social media or the talking points that the party has done over the last decade. I plan to be a lot bolder, a lot stronger, attacking the Democrats right where they are. I also think that I need to be available as your chair to every delegate in the state, and I am. My cell phone has been the same cell phone that I've had my entire adult life, and I'm available to anybody at any time by text or text message.
There's a couple of component parts. One, you have to be able to raise the money. I was able to be one of the top fundraisers in the legislature, and I certainly can do that. If you look at my social media, I do more social media than just about the entire Senate combined. And that is stuff I learned in the job and send out, and I will do that much bigger and broader as the chair of the party. Lastly, I think there's got to be a real focus on unity. As I travel the state, it's the number one thing people are fighting within the party. Hima was the candidate for the state party, national committee woman, along with Bernadette. I supported Hima for that position. I chose Bernadette as my co-chair because we need to heal the party.
So Joe, you start off this one. In your opinion, what is the biggest issue facing MIGOP currently?
Oh, great question. I think that you look at, I would say, the zenith of the Michigan Republican Party probably was somewhere in the last 15 years, 90s. There's a high spot in 2010, but I think it really needs to operate like a business. You need the business office operating where market-based pricing is implemented, where you review the return on the investment, the impact on the candidates, and see how money is spent and what the result is, getting Republicans elected and Democrats defeated, and I don't think that's been happening to the degree that it needs to in recent years.
I would say trust is the biggest issue. We have to have the trust of donors that the money will be managed well and well spent and well stewarded. We have to have the trust of the delegates that the chairman is fair, that the state party is fair, that their voice is heard. I believe that the minority should always have a voice, and that we have meetings that are well-run, and that's what I plan to do, well steward the meetings, and then let the majority prevail. But I think trust needs to come from the bottom up, from the delegates up to the chair.
There certainly has to be a lot of things done differently from how the money has been looted from the party by one guy cycle after cycle. We need to have competitive bidding. This simply cannot continue to have one guy taking all the money. We also need to unify the party. I've not dropped a bomb in any faction of the party. I've not attacked any former donor. I've not attacked any former chairperson, because for me, it's trying to get as much as we can, everybody moving the same direction against the most evil forces there is. The Democrats want to ruin our kids, destroy their mental health, and destroy the state of Michigan, and we got to get that message out.
It's unity. It's getting everybody working together as a team, which President Trump set us a beautiful example of how to do. You build the party by inclusion, not by exclusion. President Trump took two people that ran against him for president that wanted him not to return to the White House not too long ago, and brought them in as two of his closer advisors in Tulsi and Kennedy. If the president can take people who absolutely did not want him returning to the White House or being elected to the White House and bring them in, we can bring in the folks that we've got some differences with and work things out and treat people with respect, period.
Meshawn, we'll start with you. How do you feel you are more qualified than your opponents for MIGOP chair?
Well, for start, I am the only person up here who hasn't in one way or another betrayed President Trump. President Trump just won Michigan. If we had lost Michigan, I would think somebody like Ambassador Cella, who's made very negative comments about President Trump in his past, I would see how somebody like that, an establishment type candidate, maybe should be chair. But I have been loyal to the president like nobody else on this panel since 2016, and he trusts me, and we just won in Michigan, and I think the strong America First chair is imperative at this time.
I have supported Donald Trump since 2016. He did a video out in Oakland County saying, I want to thank Senator Runestad and Lindsey being the first two legislators who have publicly supported me. I got almost all the other senators, a lot who didn't want to support Donald Trump, to support Donald Trump. So I've been about supporting Donald Trump all the way through. But I think what you have to look at is the record. We have a record here, only Meshawn and I. The rest, they're nice people, but they don't have a record. She has a record in 2022 when the Weiser left the state of Michigan. She was in charge of the worst disaster we ever had in my history of electoral politics.
Can I have a rebuttal? Jim, can you name any co-chair preceding me for the last 3 cycles?
At the top of my head, none jumps to mind.
So, in other words, I am the only co-chair that has ever been somehow responsible for the win or the loss of an entire cycle.
Can I get a rebuttal? Meshawn was in charge in 2022 because Ron Weiser had a health issue, so he was out of commission. He moved to California. He left. He had a new relationship. He built a new house next to the Kardashians. He left a big pile of money for Meshawn. He was gone. That's never happened in our history.
It's Terry Bowman, Amanda Van Essen, and Jeff Sockler.
Thank you.
Keeping score at home.
Somebody who knows the party.
Anyway, that's not why I'm qualified to be the next chair. I'm qualified because it's a CEO type position, and I have demonstrated executive leadership in a number of organizations in a very transparent way. And that's been in business, as an entrepreneur, as a business coach, as a startup coach. It's in the nonprofit world where I've managed and led and been elected president of large nonprofits, and it's in the political world. So I'm prepared to do the job.
I stand apart from my opponents in 3 ways. I was chosen by President Trump to serve in a leadership campaign position at 16, then to be chosen by him to serve as an ambassador. I fought high stakes, high visible, high consequential battles in Michigan against Governor Whitmer and on the national level. Lastly, I'm a Lansing outsider. I'm not in Lansing, nor am I of Lansing. I'm particularly grateful that President Trump does not have a litmus test like Meshawn Maddock does, because he believes in me and trusts in me. And whatever perceived sins that Meshawn is talking about, he absolved me by tapping me to serve in his campaign and then tapping to serve as his ambassador to represent,
Can I have a rebuttal?
represent our beautiful country.
How many people here know that in 2016, President Trump became president and immediately a ton of snakes surrounded him in Washington, D.C., and a ton of very bad actors got in within the administration? He became an ambassador at the very end of President Trump's term, and it was because of Mike Pence, and Mike Pence's people had nothing to do with President Trump. And it would never happen
Okay.
today.
Yeah, we were
So a tsunami of fake news is emanating from Meshawn. I was asked to serve as an ambassador election eve. I got a call from the White House in 2017. The intransigent Senate dragged their feet. I flapped in the wind for 2 years, put my life on hold. I was ultimately confirmed. That process was from 2016 until 2021. 5 years, because President Trump believes in me and I believe in him.
And Jim, this one is for you. Should the delegates have, well, this is for everyone, start with you. should the delegates have more or less authority over candidate selection, and why?
So we have more or less.
Control over candidate selection.
Well, the candidates, obviously for, if you're in the convention, they have all the control. As to the other ones, it's got to be grassroots. Meshawn, as the co-chair of the party in 26, endorsed in the primary. I will not, as the chair, put the thumb on the scale in the primary. I think it's completely disastrous. I've seen this where underhanded chairs will go for one person in a primary after another. It should be left up to the grassroots. The grassroots need to be empowered. This is where the majority of the people are, not the big money interest in Lansing.
The party should not play a role in selecting candidates. That's up to two separate groups of people. It's up to the general public for primary type elections, which will happen in August of 2026. And then it's up to the precinct delegates who will make their decision for the convention candidates, period. The state party itself should not put their thumb on the scale as noted. The state party should simply create an environment for whoever wins those races at the primary and convention level to be able to step into a well-oiled, well-funded machine that will help lead them to victory in November of 26.
There are two lanes. You have the delegates and you have the public that play this role in getting candidates elected. Both those that are selected by the public to clear people into the primary, and then the delegates at the convention. Thank you.
I think the delegates should play a very active role. The chair of the party, we put a lot of emphasis on it, but the truth is we have 13 congressional district chairs that are very important leaders. We have all of our county chairs, very important leaders, not to mention the 100 and so state committee members. These are the people that across the state should be finding, recruiting, and vetting candidates that are strong conservatives and encouraging them to run, championing them, helping with their campaigns. So I absolutely think the delegates play a huge role in that.
All right, Scott, we'll start with you. How can grassroots efforts be more streamlined in your opinion?
It's actually bringing the Michigan Republican Party to the grassroots. It's making sure we've got a good number of victory offices located in every part of the state, whether that's up here, whether it's down south, and it's making sure that staff is appropriate with their time to provide resources, coaching, training to all the delegates in the state equally, so that they have an opportunity to have all their ideas put forward, so we understand which races are most important and why, and we get that information from the ground level, not from an ivory tower in Lansing, and we put the work forward in a transparent and honorable manner.
One of my first messages to my embassy colleagues in Fiji was that I'm going to bring my desk to your door, and that's what I would do should I have the honor of serving as your next chairman. I would bring myself to the doors of the delegates, the counties, the district chairman, certainly the state committee, but they thirst. They thirst for direction. They thirst for leadership. There is tried and true tactics and strategies that worked in 2024. I think that footprint of political weaponry can be expanded using technology that worked in other states, and we can add that to our arsenal and win. Thank you.
I think a really simple way is I never understood how state party didn't celebrate and embrace all of the external organizations and clubs and Republican clubs and even our pro-life clubs and our gun clubs. I've never understood why the party felt competitive with those organizations. All of us, like the Democrats, should come together and all be rowing in the same direction. So one of the ways I would empower the grassroots is I want to be a megaphone for all of the Republican clubs, groups, and organizations that are out there on their own fundraising and activating for Republican causes.
It can be done primarily through communications. Right now, if you look, the Democrats put out about 30 press releases to every one, the Republicans are. The thing I do, about the only thing I can do, is communicate in my position. In my last term, I'm in the minority. Anyone that tells you in the minority you can wave wands and the Democrats are going to do what you want, especially me, they hate my guts. The one thing I can do is I message out, but I will make that not just from my Senate district, but the entire state of Michigan. More that you would learn that's going on in Lansing you've never learned before, I would be blasting out to the grassroots.
Hey there everyone, just wanted to remind you to stay in the loop. If you're watching us on Facebook and Rumble, be sure you hit that follow button. If you're following us on YouTube, be sure you subscribe and follow so you can see every episode. Thanks for watching everyone, we'll see you next time.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.